think it's probably a bit dangerous to work in the sun like this, in a suit like this. I'll definitely sweat a lot within 5 minutes. I'm already sweating, so I'll stay hydrated. Let's see, maybe I finish that 5 liter. Yeah, so I'm not sure what to expect with the bees and how strong they are, but I have this old pollen supplement that I'm somewhere going to try and finish today. I'm sure it goes stale over time, and then sure, probably not even 50 grams of caster sugar that I'll also just distribute between these hives and finish it up. Actually wanted to feed them a bit of sugar water, but my supply is out of stock, so I'll come back here in 2 or 3 weeks and bring them some sugar water if needed. This area during fall, April-ish, April, May, there's some sugar flower. It's like a fynbos protea flower in this area that feeds the bees very well deep into the winter, almost until July. So that's food is actually most abundant here in winter, but I can't harvest any honey then because their productivity is quite low because of a cold and they need the food. But yeah, it's already very warm. Let's get going. I'm trying to utilize the shade. It's extremely hot. I just got my bee suit on, and then my heart rate was already 110 beats per minute. And as soon as I came into the shade, it dropped down to 81. So it just shows how bad the heat is. I find that the bees are sometimes more aggressive in the heat. I'll just smoke them gently. Also don't want to over smoke them because it might suffocate them a little with the heat. They need to breathe well. So let's get going. Pine needles are sharp. Going to put my gloves on. Got these nice leather gloves online, and they work much better than the chemical plastic gloves. They're more gentle on my hands. However, they seem to shrink a little bit when I don't wear them. I have to squash my hand in. That's it. These big pine needles, they die out if you don't get a proper fire going. And I cheat and I relight it from the top. It's an interesting concept that fires don't need to be started from the bottom. I think people like barbecue or braai fires from the top as well. I don't compress it until there's a proper fire. So I put the pine cone on and I'm basically setting the pine cone on fire. When you do this, the fire is extremely hot though. Now there's a massive fire, now I can compress it. Sure. You should make sure that there's a lot of smoke before you close the lid, otherwise it just, you have to reopen it. Ooh, that's problem. Otherwise you have to redo it. Okay, let's get going. Okay, so I just inspected that hive. I can see that they've drawn comb out about 3/4, but it's obvious that they had some drought or dry period, which I know the gums did very poor. But now they've got about 3 or 4 full frames of nectar and one frame with a very healthy brood pattern, but only like one frame. So I didn't remove it. I don't want to disturb the queen if they're small and vulnerable, so just going to let them be. But the sign that I see in the first hive that I inspected is that they did not have food, but they do get nectar somewhere now. There's 3 or 4 frames of nectar and no capped honey. So, and then also very young new brood. So obviously they stopped producing, or the queen stopped laying for a while. Now I'm going to come to this hive. This hive was obviously stronger because I put a super on, so it's a long time, but I'm assuming it had a full 10 frames and I put a super on top. I see there's a spider busy over here, so part of the inspection is to remove the spider here. It will just catch my bees and then see what's going on inside. I see one dead bee here. It can be because of the heat. Actually 2 dead bees. Look at all these markings in the sand as well. I'm assuming it's bees that scribbled around in the sand here. Let's see what's going on inside. I'll see if I can prop the camera up somewhere. It's important with this heat to break the propolis seal and to create a space. They look stronger. I'm checking for the queen. She's not in the lid. I'll scrape some propolis off from the lid. Dump it in front of the hive. Check the super. This site is very known for a very sticky propolis that they make. Look, it's full nectar on the frames. There's about 5 capped honey cells, but the frames are only drawn out about 40%. So I'm just gonna leave it. These frames in here are quite old, so I'm not sure if I want to disturb them too much Just breaking them. There's a full wax sheet over here. See how they harvest the wax to use elsewhere in the hive. See, my bees are not aggressive, so I'm not smoking them. It's an empty frame, lots of nectar, a little bit of honey, all drone comb, but they're filling it with nectar. This is a new frame, but you can see they've already used this sheet for brood. Then the brood subsided, or queen stopped laying, then they filled it again with nectar. This is an old frame that I probably bought over from someone. The wires are loose and full of nectar. Bad frame as well, but I'm going to leave it in. Nectar. And the other frames I'll probably not inspect all of them. Just want to get an idea. All nectar. I think there's zero pollen in this area, so they can't raise brood. There's a little bit of brood. Not even 10% of the frame. Maybe 20. I don't even see eggs in the other cells. Don't see eggs in the other cells. There's a bit more brood over here. There's some brood. Okay. It's about like that with eggs and brood, but spotty. The queen is not fit and she's probably underfed with not enough pollen. That's fine. I've got a little bit of pollen there that I'll add for them. I'm going to put this frame somewhere in the middle in so that they draw it out, so that we can replace old frames. Okay. And I'm going to put the super back. They had it like that. That helps with the heat. I'm just going to put the pollen very loose here at the top. I'm going to put the pine needles, some of these thick pine needles here on the corner so that the lid doesn't seal perfect and will help them with ventilation. Lazy bees in the front at the entrance. There's a nice big gap over here in the pine needles for the heat. Okay. This hive is much stronger. I had two supers on there. The bottom one is full of nectar. The top one is about half full of nectar. In the bottom I see lots of brood, lots of pollen, and on the last two frames on that side, capped honey. So much better than I actually expected to see on any of these hives. So I'm very impressed, very excited for what they'll do through the winter. And maybe I'll be able to get some honey off of them, but I doubt. I've seen a lot of honey here, but never able to take it off at times because as soon as they start capping the frames, then there's often a very dry period. This apiary is very awkward. But anyway, this is very exciting and promising. Let's see how it goes. Okay, very interesting over here. This is a colony that swarmed off during pollination last August, so that's almost 6 months ago. My math. Yeah, anyway, so I fed them a bit of pollen and castor sugar. They show signs of a very healthy young queen. I'm not checking the brood, but I can see that the combs are built out quite deep. They're very active, much more active than when I was here last. And they've basically drawn out and busy on all 5 frames over there. So I took one of these drawn out frames over here without any nectar or any activity on it and put it there on the last frame just to give them space. And yeah, I've seen it every single time. It's like a law of nature. These bees always build from the right. If you stand facing the entrance of the hive, always from the right to the left. I've never seen it different on a hive. And if I have to guess, then I think it's because the afternoon sun heats up that side of the hive last, and that's where it's warmer during the night. That's my guess. See, they need a bit of smoke. They're getting all over the show now. I think they just figured that I put in a new frame there, so they're kind of going over. It's interesting, isn't it? Look at that hive from Nana. Okay, I'm going to close them up. They're very excited. Not aggressive at all. Just very curious and excited. Look at that. Trying to figure out what's going on and what's this food at the top. Look at that view. Please comment in the comment section if you know what that is. It almost looks like chalk brood, but I'm very sure that it's not chalk brood because chalk brood is during wet and moldy times of the year, in my opinion. But yeah, this hive looks very healthy. Okay, interesting on this hive, I had the super below. The super was obviously full of brood in the past, and I had a deep on top, or the deep was full of brood, and I decided to give them space below. However, when I lifted the deep from the super, then I noticed quite a bit of wax moth larvae. So I actually scratched them off and threw them on the sand here for the sun to bake. There's one crawling around. And so that indicates to me that there's too much space in the hive. The bees can't manage the pest. So I'm removing the super, giving them less space to manage, and gave them a little bit of food. Yeah, but quite healthy in general. Just the wax moth larva that they'll now sort out. So I'm not too concerned. Let's see how they do when I come back. Okay, this hive, this is one that I at some stage covered with shade cloth. They in this extreme sun all day, so I'm sure the shade cloth helped. The entrance activity is busier than the other hives that I've opened now, and just saw pollen going in. On some of the hives that I did see a lot of pollen, I saw this grey whitish pollen on the frames, but on this hive I'm seeing orange and yellow pollen, which is actually quite good. So what I think is happening on this site is that the dominant and stronger hives are dominating and controlling the food sources. That's negative if you see hives failing, but I haven't seen a failing hive yet. All of them look healthy, and some of them look strong and healthy. But I'm expecting this one is going to be very strong. Let's see what's going on. They've got 2 deeps and a super. And mind you, I see that super on top looks quite dry, so I'll have to come and paint it before the winter comes. Yeah, that confirms it. This hive is definitely dominating a food source. Lots of capped honey. The super over here is dry and unused, so I'm gonna check what they're busy with. I'm just gonna put that frame back and check in the deep below how much brood is in there and decide whether I'm gonna leave the super on top or not. They don't need it for space, but they might need it for this extreme heat, so let's double check. Okay, so I reassembled this hive. Doing very well. The shade cloth actually helps tremendously. I put the shade cloth a little bit towards the side of the entrance to create like a little bit of a windbreak, and then I just make it tight with a few bricks on top over there. Yeah, they're not using the top super, but it helps with the heat. They're not doing much in the bottom super, but I see a lot of new nectar in there. The brood and honey is all in this middle section. Yeah, very exciting to see a big hive like this. They haven't produced honey that I took off this year, but that's just due to the poor flow in this area. But as long as the colonies are healthy, then I can use them next year on the pollination. I have 2 more hives to inspect, then I can get in the shade. It's tremendously warm here and my heart rate is it's extremely hot. I'm more than eager to get this suit off. These are not aggressive, so I could actually work with thin shorts under this suit. That's too hot. That's it. Sure. My heart rate, it's 94 now. It's not as high as I thought it would be. So all these bees were doing well. Let me make a shade there. It's very hot. They all had access to food. I could see nectar in all the hives. Low pollen, but on the stronger hives I see pollen, so they're probably dominating the pollen foods or sources. And yeah, I try to not interfere too much. It's not that I need to take off really. Some frames are capped but not fully capped, and I think it's more a matter of that they running into the honey than capping honey. So I'm gonna leave them at least another month, or I'll see when this there's a white protea flower. I think they call it local name for it is repens. I think it's derived from the scientific name Philippines flowers, with lots and lots and lots of sugar and sugary, nectary, watery, loads of nectar. So I'll wait about a month after those started flowering and then come do another inspection. That should be pre-winter inspection, paint hives, and also take off supers and so on before winter. I'll just check the daytime temperatures. But yeah, thanks a lot, and I'll try to get this video on YouTube as soon as possible. And thanks a lot as well. Please give me a like on this video. I do see a lot of recent activity and new subscribers on the channel. Actually, after I was quite frequent with my uploads for a bit, then my life got out of control busy, and we started a new electrical business. I've got my own little logo with my own Badger Energy, and I was literally too busy to come out here and make some videos, but highly appreciative of the activity that I see on my account and the subscribers. So I'm sure this video will also go off, or will be appreciated. Please give me a like on the video and to support me. I'll try to do frequent uploads again, and maybe start incorporating some electrical and homestead and independent energy, solar, some of that maybe in the future. Let me know. Thanks so much.